Welcome to Speed Kolor, a podcast and YouTube channel about custom motorcycle culture. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to get all the latest content. You can also follow Speed Kolor on Instagram. We hope you enjoy the show.
Dustin,
hi.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, no
Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to another episode of Speed Kolor. Today, Karen and I drove down here to, now is this considered Grand Mound or
Yes,
where are
Grand
we?
Mound,
This is
yeah.
Grand Mound. Grand Mound, Washington. We drove most of it yesterday, got down to Coeur d'Alene and finished off the trip today. Wanted to come down and visit with this young man, Dustin Beck. So Beck Built Fab.
Yep.
That's what we're going with. So Dustin is, like I say, impressive young man doing very cool stuff. Wanted to come down and visit with him. It looks like, just to back up to the last episode of Speed Kolor, it looks like Canada has, so to speak, dodged a bullet on the whole tariff situation. Cars and aluminum and steel are involved, but at this point, there's nothing beyond that. There's no weirdness with motorcycle parts or anything else. So for now, we don't have an issue with the tariffs. And, last episode I did talk about Canadian manufacturers, guys building cool stuff in Canada. I wanted to come down and talk to one of our American friends and take a look at some of the cool stuff being done down here as well. So, Dustin, for people who don't know you, why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about yourself, what you do for a living, what the business is about. Don't share anything about family you're not comfortable with. That's okay.
All right.
But just tell us about yourself.
I'm 34. I started getting into welding and fabrication probably about 6.5 years ago. It got sparked by choppers. I wanted to build a chopper, and I didn't want to have to pay somebody to weld every little piece. So I figured I should probably learn. So I put myself through night classes at the local college and started right away, pretty much. As soon as I got into the classes, I started chopping up an XS650, and I started out with a little flux core welder, and then immediately I went straight to TIG because I loved TIG. Right now, I am a full-time welder at a high-end boat shop where we do anodized aluminum boat accessories like fishing towers, big T-tops, huge boat tops, fiberglass tops, all sorts of stuff. So,
nice.
Yeah.
So you are doing mostly aluminum right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
At work, it's pretty much all aluminum. We'll get some steel in once in a while, but it's maybe like once every 6 months I'll weld steel at work.
And do you have your ticket now? Are you certified? How does that work in the U.S.?
Nope, don't have to be for this shop.
Okay.
They're basically just insured, and whatever happens falls on them, not on me. So, I was...
But is that something you would do? Like, I know in Canada we've got B pressure and there's all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
Will you try and get certification
I have
here,
been. I have been certified before.
Okay.
I worked in a sprinkler shop doing like fire protection type stuff. So they do sprinkler systems for giant commercial warehouses and stuff. So I was fabbing up pressure pipe. So I was Weibo certified for, I don't remember the exact specifications, but for whatever they needed me to be, it was like pressure systems. So.
Right.
Yeah, but I let that lapse. I didn't keep up on that.
So that's something you have to renew.
Yeah, yearly you have to. Or it's either yearly or monthly. I don't remember. But the job that I worked at, they would re-up it for me, and then I left that job and just let it lapse. So, yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, and I have to ask you, you said anodized aluminum. Mm-hmm. So you weld it, then it gets anodized?
Nope, it's pre-anodized.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game.
Wow,
Yeah. I don't want to go into too much specifics on that.
No, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you could do that. And And then how does that work with the anodizing where you've welded? Is there something that has to be done to the weld surface?
The welds get painted after
Okay.
they're welded, so you don't have to grind any of the anodizing off. You can weld right through it. It's just different setup of the machines. It's like completely different setup of the machines.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
That's cool.
higher frequency, higher gas flow.
Yeah.
And you need a lot of heat, like instantaneously, to break through the anodizing.
Okay.
So it was a whole new learning process for me. It took me almost a year of working at the job, welding it every day to like really get it.
Look at you go. Right on.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's interesting to know. And then Beck Built Fab, what's the history there? What did you start doing, or is that fairly recent?
It's fairly recently.
Okay.
Within the last year, I've gotten really serious about pushing it out there. But I was kind of loosely playing around with it probably about a year and a half ago, just because I was super, super into the whole bike thing. So I really wanted to get into working on bikes for people, doing possible full builds for people.
Right.
And then the parts kind of just fell in my lap. So now I'm focusing on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a minute. You say the parts fell into your lap. I don't know how much you want me to say here, or I can say, but I will say to the audience that I don't know how Dustin got onto my stuff, whether he found YouTube or whether he went to Instagram. He can tell us that.
Instagram.
Yeah, okay.
Through Sean.
So he found the XS650 that I'm doing now. Oh, okay, through Sean at Sean's Nonstock Customs, SNS, where the hardtail came from, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, Dustin got onto that and reached out to me and said, hey, that's a cool build you're doing. I'd really like to see my stuff on that build. And we had a conversation and swapped information and stuff. And I said, yeah, we can make that happen. Couple of the pieces that Dustin does are really, they're really going to make my build a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And we'll talk about that stuff in a minute. So bottom line is, we made a deal. I said I would come down here for two reasons. One, obviously, is to record an episode of Speed Kolor. The other would be to get a look and an explanation from him of exactly what his stuff is doing, which we're going to do for you in a minute. And the other reason Karen and I came down is, and it certainly doesn't offset the cost, but by the time you ship stuff to Canada, pay the exchange, and we didn't know what was going to happen with tariffs and everything, I thought, you know what, if we go down, we spend the weekend, if we're here for more than 48 hours, we can take back, we have a personal exemption of $800. And that, of course, each of us has that, so we can bring back a lot of stuff and not have to pay duty, tax, tariff, or anything else. So I figured rather than shipping it and running the risk of some kind of crazy tariff being put on by the Canadian government, having to pay another 25%, the whole thing, it'd be easier. Just come down here, do an episode, pick up the stuff, get an explanation, take it home, not have any of that, and yeah, it would work out pretty well. So that's what Karen and I decided to do, and that's how we wound up here. So what we're going to do, I do want to ask you about JumpStreet and the products and stuff. And after we find out about that and how Dustin came to be doing this, then we're going to go through the main products that he has right now and give you a look at them. And then we're going to talk about what's in the future for Beck Built Fab. So to start with, Jay is the fellow at JumpStreet.
Yeah,
okay.
My buddy Jay.
And JumpStreet was producing this stuff.
Yeah, he designed all of this stuff and has been making it for, I believe he said it, the last 15 years. He's been doing all this stuff, and they've gone through many variations, but this is the final form of them, and I really like them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Jay wants to focus more on Harley stuff?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's been wanting to do a little bit more Harley stuff. He's building an awesome shovel head right now, and I think that sparked his, like, I don't want to do XS anymore.
Right.
I want to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, he's going to keep JumpStreet.
Yes.
JumpStreet is going to stay in place.
Yeah.
But you will be doing the XS650
all of it,
products and doing it under Beck Built Fab. Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody out there who knows you and knows that you're into XS650s and everything, they should know that they need to find you now. Well, they've probably been finding you as Beck Built, but you will have the products that were previously available from JumpStreet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And he still has his website up too, but all the emails and everything get forwarded straight to me.
Oh,
so
nice.
if someone can't find me, they can find him at JumpStreet. I think it's xsmids.com.
Okay.
So if they can't find me anywhere, they can always go there, email, and then I reply to it.
Oh, okay,
So,
that's
yeah.
great. So you guys are working real close together.
Yep. Every day. We're
Jay's
talking.
good, you guys are tight.
Yeah,
Okay.
chatting every day. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good stuff.
Yeah, he's been a huge help.
Well, let's get Dustin to show us some of these products, because some of them are new to me, and I need to know what I'm doing when I go home here. And hopefully a lot of you aren't real familiar with the stuff, and this will be a bit of an educational thing. XS650s, pretty common. There's a lot of XS650s being built, but a couple guys have told me we're starting to use up the supply of XS650 stuff. It is narrowing down a little bit.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of stuff available anymore.
You can still find, for us, we have something called Kijiji, which, do you guys have Kijiji
I don't
down
think
here?
so.
Craigslist.
Oh, yep, Craigslist.
So it's very similar,
Okay.
I think, anyway. You still find stuff on Kijiji. They're still out there. I think what's going to happen with the XS650 stuff is we're still going to see a lot of activity, but the builds and the parts are going to get better. I really think that's what we're going to see is the guys who do build them are going to build them better.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, an XS650, say 10 years ago, was a pretty inexpensive build.
Oh, yeah.
And they were put together
pretty rough.
Yeah, maybe a little haphazardly, a little rough.
Rat bikes.
Rat bikes,
rat bike
exactly, that kind of stuff. Now, I think we're moving into a new era of XS650 where they're going to be more refined. They're going to be more nicely done. And that's a good thing. I think that's great. I'm real happy about that.
Yeah, definitely. So, I love XS650s. That was my first bike.
It's a great platform, and I know everybody wants to do shovel heads and pan heads, but the XS650, there's nothing wrong with it. It's lots of fun, done right.
Reliable.
Very
reliable.
You can have a real decent bike.
Yeah.
And the right style and the right culture, it's all available.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Where do you want to start here, sir?
Let's start with the foot clutch. The worm gear. The worm gear mod here.
Yeah, let's do that.
This guy just kind of takes a stock worm gear, and it just adapts a linkage arm to where you can set it up for foot clutch. And it's got the same adjustability as the stock one, where you got the locking nut and then Allen head screw that goes through the center and does the whole push rod, all that stuff. And then you got different spots to where you can set it up for different leverage and whatnot.
Right. So the worm gear, to back up a little bit for me, the worm gear was cable activated.
Yeah,
and
just
give me a second. I'm just going to turn this camera a little bit like that. That might work better. I just wanted to make sure that we're both in the picture there.
Yeah.
the worm gear was cable activated through the side case.
Yep, the left side
the
case.
cover.
Yeah.
And there was an access plate for adjusting the clutch through that cover. So what you've done now is you're using that access point for the adjustment to mount the worm gear and the lever. So the cable is totally eliminated, and now you're activating the worm gear on the outside of that cover by way of a mechanical arm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. Yep. There's a linkage that attaches to any of these holes you want to use, depending on how you want your foot pedal to sit.
Yep.
Yeah, you connect it to that, and it goes down to your foot, and then
Right, and simple rod ends and a threaded tube and boop,
little
away
heim
you
joints.
go.
And
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Excellent.
that's that guy there.
Cool. And this is on this bike.
Yes.
And what I'll do, you know what, don't let me forget, what we'll do when we're done talking here is I'm going to take one of the cameras, put it on there, and just let you activate it so that anybody watching the YouTube, I can insert that into the video here.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent.
Cool.
And I just wanted to mention, does comes with, right? So there's the linkage with the rod ends and the tube and everything. That's all good.
And the
other thing that I really like that Dustin has here is freaking instructions. Because I got to tell you a funny story. I got a bracket, a caliper bracket the other day. And I won't say who it came from because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but it's a good brand and it's a nice bracket and it's polished and everything is good. And it has this stepped spacer in it, which is very cool, with no instructions as to which way the bracket goes or which way the spacer goes.
Right.
And I'm sure if you're a Harley guy, you probably look at that and go, oh yeah, boop, here you go. If you're a guy who's never used one before, you look at it and go, which side is this supposed to be on? So I appreciate instructions, and I will be reading this.
Every product comes with its own separate instructions.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Good job.
And the vast majority of all the hardware and everything that comes with this is all stainless too. So it's,
okay.
Yeah. The only steel parts are the parts themselves, and I think the bolt that goes through the toe pin is steel, but other than that, everything else is stainless, and underneath the grips for the mids is aluminum.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So based on you saying that, is there any stainless here, or is this steel?
That's going to be steel. Okay. The connection point between the arm is a chrome plated. Right here, that's chrome plated, and then this coupler's galvanized. But other than that, it's stainless hardware. But yeah, other than that, it's all steel.
So that's steel.
Yeah.
Do you want to move to the hand shifter next?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Cool. So this is the hand shifter.
Now, what is stainless here?
Just the hardware. This is not. No, it's just like the bolt that goes through this little guy here. Yeah, and then this right here is aluminum. A little spacer, but this bolts up to the left side case, and you have to modify your existing shifter arm that comes out of the motor.
Right.
You got to cut it, flatten it, and drill a hole in it, but it connects here with the supplied linkage right here. So that goes straight to your shifter, and then you just shift away.
And you have to modify the original shifter arm because that's what has the splines on it that you can't reproduce easily.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. Okay. And that's that.
And this is easily chromed?
Probably. Yeah.
Mine will be, by the way.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Perfect. Cool. You might have to make some adjustments for the thickness that the chrome takes up because of the tolerances.
Chrome's actually pretty thin.
Oh.
It's surprising
Okay.
how thin it is. So
Cool.
yeah, I might
Yeah.
have to just
Yeah, I know. I talked to a
burnish
guy
things
who
a bit,
I
but-
talked to a guy who got his side cases on his XS chrome plated, and then he got them back, and they didn't fit anymore because the chrome
okay.
took up too much space. But I don't have any experience with chrome. I
Yeah,
polish stuff if I have to.
I checked it, and it is actually pretty thin. I forget the spec, but it's
cool.
thous.
Perfect.
Yeah, you
Perfect.
know.
Shouldn't be an issue. Then.
And the shop that I use, they're very good at it.
Cool.
Really good with it. I had
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff done for the Sportster and had absolutely no issues
Perfect.
or anything.
That's
so
awesome.
I'll let you know how this goes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Hardware.
Yep, there's
I
the
see
linkage
there's some
hardware
bags.
Linkage hardware, and then to mount it to the side case, it comes with new bolts for it. So
Okay.
it gets rid of the stock bolts, and it will account for the 1/4 inch thickness of that, and then it comes with spacers to get away from the side case.
Nice.
But that's stainless hardware, and then I believe those might be galvanized steel.
Okay.
So there's that there.
Great.
And
So well thought
every-
out. Oh, just
Yeah.
quickly tell me about the knob, because you said this is standard.
Yep, it's a 5/16/18 thread. So
Okay.
you can put anything on there.
So
you
your
want.
rat fink
Yeah.
shifter
Yeah,
knob or whatever
Yeah, as
you
long
want.
as it's 5/16/18, you're good to
Okay.
go.
Cool.
Yeah. And then every box comes with Loctite.
Loctite.
Yep.
Got to have Loctite.
Yep. And then
Yep.
it comes with a warning telling you, hey, none of this has Loctite on it, so make sure you do that on final assembly. Don't want anything rattling apart.
Good
And then
stuff.
yeah, and then this is the disc brake mid setup. Comes with a master cylinder, little reservoir, and yeah,
Nice.
that's that.
Nice. Is this? Is there a Zerk or anything on here?
No,
or is there
there's
any
not.
lubrication
Nope,
needed?
it's just the
or-
oil embedded bronze bushings.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's what you're using.
Yep.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
nice.
I've thought about putting some Zerks on there, but the space is a little bit tight, and I like how clean it looks.
Oh, absolutely.
But and the foot pegs are easily removed. They just come off like this. They're just threaded on there. And so if you need to, you can just take it. This slides out, and you can grease it up inside there, and then put it all right back together.
Okay.
If there's any issues.
Do you machine the bushings yourself, or
No.
do you buy them?
Well, I end up having to machine them. I buy them from McMaster-Carr, and then they don't quite fit right, so I do have to machine the inside. I have to bore them out a little bit, but yeah,
Okay.
every
And you said this this rubber piece, the foot peg.
Yeah.
This slides off. This is an
yep,
aluminum
that's an
piece
aluminum,
underneath.
solid aluminum stock.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and they're made with inch. I believe it's 1 1/8, and then 1 inch. So you can change any grip you want because they come
okay.
with the standard no throttle and then the throttle, so the inside of the
Yep.
grip's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
You can interchange whatever grips you want to customize it to whatever
right.
whatever
Nice.
you need.
And you said that this mounts up to the stock
Exhaust mounts.
exhaust
Yep.
mounts.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's the exhaust mounts that goes on to on the XS650 frame.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that part of the frame, of course, if you do a hardtail, doesn't get touched. That's
Right.
on the
Yep.
front half that stays in place. Okay.
Yeah, and then that, of course, comes with the foot clutch setup. So this is going to be connected to the worm gear with this linkage here, and then that will actuate the worm gear.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll show you on this bike how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this is good, substantial stuff. It's
Yeah.
well done. The welds are pretty slick too. Nice job, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's very nice stuff.
Yeah, and then of course that comes with the hardware. It's M10 metric, so it bolts right onto
Right.
the same thread pitch as the stock mounts.
Okay.
And then it comes with some shim washers, because the OEM Yamaha stuff, it can always be crooked.
Right.
And then a brake reservoir bolt that mounts to your side case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, and then of course instructions
Oh yeah,
for
the reservoir, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
I believe
that makes sense.
it'll go to like one of those guys there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And then I do a drum brake version of that as well.
Okay.
So if you want to keep your stock stock
right,
XS
with
wheel.
a rod, and I'll edit this out if you don't want me to talk
Yeah.
about this, but I saw this one with the rod for the drum brake. I did a Kawasaki a couple years ago and used a cable conversion kit from Dime City Cycles.
I thought about doing that. Yeah.
Boy, did that
Did it
work
work
out
good?
slick.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about
Tracy
coming up.
still rides that bike every summer.
Nice.
And that whole system has given us no trouble at all.
Awesome. I thought about
Yeah.
coming up with my own design for something like that, with some little weld-on
For
tabs
sure.
or something
For
like
sure.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Jay were actually just talking about that not too long ago.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he was telling me that the shipping rate, when you incorporate that long linkage,
Right.
it almost doubles shipping cost. So I was like, man, that kind of sucks for the customer to have to eat that much shipping just because their bike needs this particular part. So
I guess for me, from a builder standpoint, the rod is a big obtrusive piece.
right. Yeah, yeah.
You know, that sure, you can have a chrome that'll look great, you can do
Yeah.
some things
Just
with
never
it,
looks as
but it's
clean.
just really big. You take that cable and now you tuck it behind
Yeah.
the frame
Yeah,
and bring
exactly.
it around or something, and it goes away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep,
So,
definitely.
Yeah. Something to consider, but again, your product looks great.
Thank you.
Works just fine. No issues at all.
Yeah.
Intake.
Yeah, and I do two to one intakes for the Mikuni VM34 and VM36, and there's also another Mikuni. I don't remember the nomenclature for it, but it's what they call a pumper.
Okay.
It's got the accelerator pump on it. That one of my customers in Canada, he had bought one, and he contacted Mikuni and asked them what they thought would work, and so that's the one that they recommended. I think it's like a TM something, maybe.
Okay.
I can look it up and let you know.
Yeah, I'll look that up
Yeah,
myself.
but it's
too.
got the accelerator pump, and Mikuni is, I guess, jetting it for him according to his exhaust and all that stuff too. So, yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. Yeah, the 2-into-1 or 1-into-2, I guess,
Yeah,
depending on
technically.
which side you want to start from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
technically, yeah.
Is really a cool idea, and I was doing a little research, and I know people are going to disagree with me, and that's totally okay. Love to hear your comments and opinions about it. But what I was reading said because the XS650 is a 360-degree intake,
Yeah.
whatever, that really going 1-into-2 is not a big deal,
Right.
because the plenum, the intake, is filling with a charge, and you're taking that whole charge, and then it gets 360 degrees to recharge or reload the plenum. Whereas if you have a more staggered pattern, then
You could get robbed.
you're getting robbed on
Yeah.
one side and overly saturated or richened on the other side.
Yeah.
So, from what I understand, 1-into-2 for an XS650
Totally okay.
should be a really good system.
I've had to explain that to a lot of guys online.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, a lot of
Okay.
guys. I've posted my intakes.
So I do have that
Yeah,
right then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I've
Cool.
posted a lot of my intakes, and it's a
Yeah.
lot of guys are like, "Oh, that'll never work. That's just stupid. That doesn't even make sense." I'm like, "You don't understand how the motor works, clearly."
There
Then.
you go.
Yeah.
The other thing it does that I think is really cool is, with a stock setup, you've got two carburetors sticking behind the heads, sticking back into the center of the bike. And if you watched, I did a Build Stuff episode, I believe, where I showed mine right now. I have that big open space in the frame, and there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
And I've always liked that look.
Same. That negative
On
space.
cafe racers, whatever, that big open area, and there's no battery and there's no electrical or anything. It's just space. This intake really works well with that, because it moves the carburetor outside of the frame and points it out, at an angle to the side of the bike. So it maintains that big open space for me. And I'm really looking to see how that works out. The other thing I was thinking about after Dustin asked me, did I want the carburetor on the, now how did he put it, because it was really good, did I want it on the kickstart side or on the clutch side, which we always talk in left and right, and that can get confusing depending on who you talk to, but saying kickstart or clutch side really made me think that's a smart way of putting that. Anyway, on mine, it is going to go out the clutch side, but I thought it was really cool that there's the option of going, either way on it. And then I got thinking, okay, if you were building a flat tracker, you would want it coming out the kickstart side because you want it on the high side, not on the low side.
Right.
So that's really cool too. And I have an extra XS650 that I've been thinking about, a tracker style bike. So that may come into play there. We may do something kind of fancy and have some fun.
Yeah, I built one. There was a guy who has he's in Canada. He has a Cheney custom XS like flat tracker frame.
Okay.
And what that frame does is it eliminates the post going right down the center, and then it puts two that go like a wishbone style around the outside. So he was able to get one of my intakes with a center mount carb.
Oh, nice.
And then he's putting some crazy like accelerator pump. It's a race bike, so it's some crazy hopped up carb. But
that is very cool.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have an intake to show us?
I don't have one.
We
I mean,
do
I
have
do
one
on
on
this,
here,
on this bike,
and I'm going to take a picture of that.
I'll
and
have
show
yours.
you that.
I'll have yours done by the time you leave.
Mine is in the process here, so we'll get that finished up today. Okay? So is that pretty much all the products you're producing today for XS650s?
Yeah, except for if a customer needs it, I'll make the OEM style exhaust mounts so that they can mount their mids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they'll just cut everything off their frame when they're chopping it, and then they're like, oh, your stuff bolts up to those, so now I need some of those. I'm like, all right, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is what you're doing for me.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Because mine got cut off.
Yeah. I did the same thing.
So
I had to remake mine for my bike.
so where are we going with Beck Built Fab? Because you mentioned you were looking at some other things.
Yeah. Eventually, hopefully this year, I'm going to try to get into my own shop. Instead of doing it at home, I want to be in a shop setting and be able to move closer to full-time with it. Also, Jay at JumpStreet, he's created a zero stretch hardtail full frame hardtail frame, and eventually I'm going to take that over too. So once I get a frame jig and a tubing bender, I have one of his frames sitting over there, and I'll be able to take measurements and recreate it.
I'll get some video of that as well. That would be good. Engine mounts, are you building them or no?
Nope, he built those. Yeah, Jay built those, but I mean, I certainly could. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what other guys do. I don't know what other builders do. The 4 XS650s that I bought all came, motors, frames, couple front ends, odds and sods. None of them came with motor mounts.
Of course.
So there isn't a motor mount in the boxes anywhere.
Yeah.
So for me, being able to get some motor mounts would be a really cool thing.
Cool.
So yeah, if you're going to pick up on that, I'm in.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I have some stock ones laying around that I can take some measurements and design something off of.
Right.
Because those are stock frames, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're all stock
I can
frames.
design some up.
Because this is what? Is that a stock piece there?
Yeah, this is the stock front motor mount.
Because I really like what Jay did there.
Yeah, it's killer.
That's and the way it matches the back one. Super cool.
He makes some of the coolest stuff. Everything he touches turns out so good.
Yeah. The set I'm using on this bike, which, if you're interested, we could change it out. It's not too late.
Yeah.
I've got the Hughes hand-built ones.
Okay.
And they're nice.
Yeah,
Nothing
definitely.
wrong with
Hugh
them.
does great work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great pieces. There's no issue there at all. And what I've done on mine is I eliminated this bar, so everybody listening to the podcast can understand. There's a support bar under the backbone that runs up to the front down tubes. And that's where the top motor mount bolts to. I read stuff. There's a lot of guys who do away with the top motor mount. There's other guys that don't. You know, I don't know that it matters either way, whether you do or don't. It certainly doesn't take a lot of force up there.
Yeah.
However, the Hughes hand-built one, I brought back and I put a little tab on the backbone and mounted it just on the back bolt.
Oh, cool.
So it's one of the window ones, so it has the center cut out. In chrome, it's going to look pretty cool. It takes care of the mounts on top of the head, so that they aren't just sitting there. They actually go somewhere. Ties it in, but without that support bar in place, leaves me a big open area at the front of the frame there, which again is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So it does tie together well, but Jeff at Perth County Moto, he just did away with his top mount.
I did on my last XS build too. I had I'm sure if your motor is like a race motor and it's hopped up and you're getting a lot of power, you might want a top mount. Yeah. Just to stabilize things, but stock XS, you're not getting tons of power.
I don't think it'd make a big difference. Yeah. But if you can look at what you would do on the top mount as well, that would be cool.
I already have some pretty cool ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to take some video of that. We're going to show people how that other stuff works. You're moving into frames. That's what I was going to ask. Are you going to do a hardtail kit?
Me and Jay thought about it. He was going to do the hardtail kit, and I was going to build electronic boxes, like horseshoe style, Harley style electronics boxes out of all polished stainless.
Okay.
It was going to be a really nice electronics boxes, and I dabble in upholstery too, so I was going to do some seats that match the hardtail, so we could do like the who is it, like Throttle Addiction, how they have the deluxe kit for Sportsters. We were going to do a deluxe kit for XSs, so it would come with a seat, electronics box, the hardtail, sissy bar, pretty much everything you need to do a hardtail.
Cool.
We thought about that. I don't know where that process is standing right now, but
you know, I'm not trying to push you into the hardtail thing. There are a lot of hardtail kits available out there. There's one that's done by a company that is a board tracker style.
Yeah, Foodie Vintage.
With the curves. Yeah. Beautiful piece.
I ran his
cost you a fair buck too.
I ran on my last XS build. I think it was the MK21 version. It's just like the basic. I think it had like 3 inches of stretch, whatever the specs are on it, but it was top notch. Everything about it was absolutely perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good stuff out there for sure.
Definitely. That's why I haven't really put too much thought in the hardtail stuff. But
an entire frame is
yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Ooh, a soft tail XS650. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
There's an idea.
Yeah, I'll have to pick Sean's brain on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
I've been following Sean pretty much since I got into motorcycle fabrication, and dude, that guy's on a whole nother level.
Sean's awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, as Canadians, we're proud of that guy.
Yeah, I bet.
He's pretty cool. But we like you too.
No, well, thank you.
It's all good. So we'll take some extra video here that I can work into the episode. You know, if you're into XS650s, man, this guy's got some cool stuff, and I'm sure if you had questions, Dustin's happy to answer it. You can send comments or questions through Speed Kolor, or I imagine you can reach out on Instagram, DM you, that kind of stuff.
Instagram.
And you're on Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah, Dustin's a young guy. He's on Facebook. The old guy is not on Facebook. I don't do that. But I am on Instagram. Anyway, Dustin, thank you so much for having us here and everything. This is great. Thank you for listening or watching, whatever way you choose to enjoy Speed Kolor. Please check out the Instagram. If you haven't already, subscribe, likes are good, comments are fantastic. The algorithm loves that stuff. So if you have a minute to do that, that would be great. Thanks for joining us. Karen and I are going to get on our way back to Canada and get across the border. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Thanks.
Cool. This is one of the JumpStreet Customs XS650 hardtail frames. My buddy Jay is currently making those. It's a pretty slick piece. Yeah, it's this one has the Harley front neck, and then it also has 3/4 inch axle plates, and those are available if you want them. And then also you can get the stock XS650 size neck and the 20 mil plates. Yeah, this is the zero stretch, so there's nothing in the back, nothing in the front. It's all stock spec length, all that stuff. You get custom motor mounts, and you get a new lower motor mount bolt through there, all stainless hardware, and then he has the ability to title it for you. So you can either decide to get just an MSO with your frame, or he can do a Michigan title and send that to you. And he can stamp the necks, all that stuff, so you don't have to go through the headache of figuring out how to title it, because that's a nightmare. But yeah, that's pretty much it. He uses, instead of having the rectangle tube down here, he does a solid steel plate. Thing's nice, rigid, super strong. I'm excited to build it. Okay, cool. So what we're looking at right here is the clutch side mid control with an added foot clutch. And so you get the foot clutch arm, and then you got a tab back here that connects the linkage to a modified worm gear. It's got the same style as stock for adjusting the clutch. And once you get that adjusted, you're good to go. Just like that. And then over here, we got the hand shift for the foot clutch set up. It's connected to your stock shift arm, which you have to flatten and drill a 1/4 inch hole to make it work. But once you do that, you connect them and you're shifting. Just like that.